Welcome to this place where we are challenged by our liberating faith, where we discover deeper spiritual meaning, nurture loving community, cultivate courageous connections, and partner in the work of justice. I'm Reverend Amanda Weatherspoon, and what a joy it is to gather together once more. Welcome to those who are watching on the live stream and those right here in person. This is a place where we practice connection over perfection and learn what it means to build the beloved community. If you're new or feeling new, you can reach out to Kelly Green, our Director of Member Relations, she's right on the screen, and get connected to what feeds your soul and what helps grow your heart. We have large print orders of service, personal hearing assistant devices, and an elevator available right across the way. There's also a hearing loop in our alternate worship space downstairs. We have coloring pages and fidgets for all ages right in the vestibule. Just a few announcements for you this morning. On Thursday, February 13th, from 6 to 8:30 p.m., there'll be a viewing of the movie Origin in Freeman Hall, and that'll be followed by 2 discussions on February 19th and 26th. This coming Friday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, our Friday Family Fun Nights will have a parents' night out. Children and youth are invited to join for dinner, games, and a movie. Parents, you may drop off kids starting at 6 o'clock, pick them up between 8 and 8:15. You can sign in on Currents. And you all know what announcement is about to come now. The UU Climate Justice Revival is upon us, coming in just a couple of weeks on Saturday, February 22nd from 1 to 5 p.m. This is going to be a time of connection, community building, a time where we go deeper than despair and reimagine together what it means for us to be in this work of climate justice for the long run. This is an all-ages event with activities and spaces for the young ones. We'll also have a panel of local organizers. There'll be food, there'll be fellowship. The registration link is live and active online. You can also scan the QR code. Our goal is to get at least 100 folks, so come if you can. Also on February 15th on Saturday, there will be a drum circle here in the building at 3:30. Please join. There might be some extra drums, but if you have a drum, please bring one to join in. Again, welcome. Welcome to those of you who are weary, those who are ready, and everyone in between. Whatever life has thrown your way this week, you are here. We are here. And what a blessing it is to be together.
she and her. This morning, we invite you to discover the embrace of agape love. Agape love is the love that goes beyond friends and family, beyond romantic love. Instead, agape offers a deeper love, a global love, a love that reaches beyond our individual selves. Agape love asks us to love the stranger, the community, the world. We'll hear 3 stories from our UU history this morning that celebrate this type of love, and may it embrace us as we embrace all. Our chalice lighting this morning comes from Eric Hepburn, Love Remains the Center. We light this flame to remind us, love is the center. As we grow and connect, mature and deepen, love remains the center. When the light of truth burns all else away, love remains. Please rise and body your spirit to sing hymn number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. We will sing it through twice. And while we're singing, if anyone did not get a heart and a pencil, you are welcome to come down and do so at this time. Our first story today comes from the mid-1700s. It is my favorite UU story. It is the story of how Universalism came to America, but it is also the story of one farmer's great belief in universal love. Thomas Potter was a humble farmer and a religious man, but he had a great belief that all should be loved and saved. And he wanted to share this with others, so he started gatherings at his home, and people began to come, many people. His wife, not so happy about all the people in her house, said to Thomas that if he wanted to keep having these meetings, he needed somewhere else to do it. Without any evidence that it would be worth it, Thomas Potter built a chapel on his land. He believed the perfect preacher would come one day to preach the message of universal love, and he waited a long time. Meanwhile, the Reverend John Murray was a Universalist minister in England. He lost a lot and decided to come to America to be a businessman instead of a minister. He boarded a ship going to New York, a ship called the Hand in Hand. It truly was. But as they passed close to New Jersey, the wind shifted and the ship ran aground on a sandbar. Stranded, John Murray and others went into town for supplies and things that they needed, a town that was called Good Luck, New Jersey. Also absolutely true. They were to find supplies and food, and this is when he met Thomas Potter. After they talked, Thomas was sure he'd finally met the man to preach in his chapel and asked him to do so. John Murray said they weren't only there until the wind changed again, and then he would sail away, and he wouldn't be there by Sunday. And Thomas, with all the courage he could muster, responded, "The wind will never change, sir, until you have delivered to us in that meeting house a message from God." And do you know what happened? Can you guess? The wind did not change, and John Murray was, in fact, still there on Sunday. And they say he preached over an hour that day in Thomas Potter's chapel, something we would not do over an hour sermon anymore. And it not only affirmed Thomas's belief that it could happen, it also inspired John Murray to keep preaching and bring universalism to all of America. It was Thomas Potter's agape love that gave him strength and patience that he could make a difference, and he did. I like to tell people Harry's not the only Potter in history. Thomas Potter knew that he could create more universal love when he built his chapel, and we can create some too. Today, when you came in or during the hymn, you got a pencil and a Valentine heart, and if you are at home on the stream, you may get a piece of paper. In a moment, music will play, and during the song, you're invited to take a moment to think about a short message of love you could give to someone. Now, this isn't one that's going to be directed at a friend or a family member. It's not going to be directed to any one specific person. So just think about what anyone in the world needs to hear right now. And then you're invited to write that message on the white side of your card, because the other card is glossy and the pencils won't work. After you write your message, hold on to it, and we'll come back to it in a bit. John, will you offer us some music? Unitarian Universalist values remind us that love is at the center. But what does that actually mean? Like many aspects of our shared faith, our values and our principles invite us to embrace curiosity and to explore our values in action. Love can mean many things, and it can be many things. So I want to share a story about how love can be a tool that has shaped our Unitarian Universalist faith, and a tool that shapes us to this very day.
Now, it's hard to imagine a time when women couldn't be anything that we wanted to be, but it wasn't that long ago that that was true. It's also hard to imagine a time when women couldn't be fully ordained ministers, a minister like me. But sadly, there are still religions to this day that don't allow it. And believe it or not, our religion didn't always allow it either. Even when it wasn't an official rule, it was still the common practice that men would be the leaders of the Unitarian and the Universalist churches way back in the day. Well, that all began to change when a group of dedicated, bold, and prophetic women chose to move into leadership roles in their struggling churches and created what is called the Iowa Sisterhood. So way back when, around 1875, most of our biggest Unitarian movers and shakers and most of our most well-known churches were on the East Coast, over here where we're at. Places like New York and Boston, big cities with lots of great thinkers and big names. But we had churches in other places. And in the Great Plains or the Midwest, our churches were struggling. Places over there weren't nearly as exciting to live in, and so it was hard for those churches to grow and thrive, and even harder to find ministers who were willing to move away from the big city life to work with those small and struggling congregations. So after a women's ministry conference in 1875, 21 Unitarian and Universalist women from those areas formed the Iowa Sisterhood. These were women who were deeply connected to ministry but weren't allowed to be ministers. These were women who cared about community and our faith and keeping these churches alive. And because other ministers wouldn't go there and serve, they were actually able to. They became ministers out of necessity. They became ministers out of love. And they used their love of our faith as a tool to sculpt and to build their congregations. And they were doing it in ways that were different for that time. They made their churches more cozy and inviting, less cold. They created an atmosphere of beauty and warmth. They transformed their meeting houses into something that felt more like a home. And that was way different from the way church was back in the day. And it was through that transformation that many of those churches not only survived, but thrived. Their love changed the people that they served, and their love continues to shape our faith to this day, making it possible for people like me to become fully ordained and serve in a full capacity. These days, it's really common for people of all genders to be UU ministers, but the path to ministry wasn't always there for all of us. The path was carved out through the courageous acts and deeds of prophetic people who saw love as more than a feeling, more than a sentiment. They experienced love. They embraced love. And they used love as a tool to build a strong foundation, one that holds us to this day. The Iowa Sisterhood created space to have more love show up in their communities and churches, and that's what we'll do now. So pick up your Valentine heart or your paper with the message on it, and as you're able, hold it to your heart in your hands. Maybe close your eyes, soften your gaze, and consider, what does it feel like to receive a kind and loving message from someone that you don't know? Allow yourself to grab onto that feeling, hold it in your heart, and then give that feeling to the message that's on your card. Give your message all the love and intention that you can give it. And when you think and feel this way, you can actually feel a certain type of energy, a certain type of magic transferring into the message on the card. And later on today, when somebody receives it, hopefully they'll feel all the love you put into it. Now, after a moment, fold that card in half, seal it in all those good intentions and all those good feelings, and then hold on to the card just a little while longer while our children's choir offers us a song of love and hope.
Children's choir, come on down.
loving community is a co-creative act of love. And love is at the heart of generosity, and it's through our generosity that we live our values out loud. What we give allows us to sustain the work of this congregation within and beyond these four walls. And when we gather each week, let it be with this very spirit of generosity and of gratitude, recognizing the blessing that it is to carry the work forward together, to be able to count on each other. There are many ways to give during our shared offering. You can text to give at 73256. You can give online, you can scan the QR code, or you can give in the basket as it comes your way. Here, we don't give until it hurts, but in a way that feels right. Now, also during the offering, some helpers are going to come around and pass smaller baskets where you can return the pencils, and larger baskets for you to place your Valentine's hearts in. Can I have our helpers come up and the ushers come forward to receive the offering and the Valentines? Ushers, you may now come forward. when we gather each week, we do so knowing that we each carry a whole host of joys and sorrows in our hearts, some known, some only known to us. The power of community is that we get to hold these joys and sorrows together. This morning, our thoughts and hearts are with our very own Lisa Hutto, our administrator extraordinaire, as she recovers from surgery. Everything is going really well. She feels good, and will continue to send her love until her return. We also hold Annie Flint in our hearts and minds as she continues to heal from recent injuries. And our constant reminders to keep our hearts and minds focused as the news cycle churns with a barrage of updates and breaking news. Focus on what is tangible in the moments that make up your life. Keep your joy, keep your focus, and keep together. Remember your purpose, and let's stay this course. Won't you please join me in a moment of silence for all that we are and all that we are becoming. Won't you please join me in a moment of stillness, a moment of centeredness, perhaps closing your eyes, lower your gaze, and joining me in a moment of prayer. Spirit of life, and yes, Spirit of love. We enter into this space with so much gratitude for what it means to be able to expand our hearts and grow our capacity to love, to use love as a tool to let love shape our lives. Our hearts are lifted up to those who aren't connected to a love, those who aren't connected to community, those who are struggling with isolation, with being alone. Our hearts are lifted up to those who are separated from their purpose. Our heart lifts up to those who are struggling in this world, in this moment, and in this time. And yet we still find ways to arrive fully with gratitude for what it means for us to come together. May we create spaces of love where there aren't any. May we fill up the spaces that we're in with the love that we bring. May we take care of one another. May we find ways to create friendships and build bridges. May we find ways to connect to each other even when it doesn't seem like it's possible. As we enter into this space and leave this space and go into our lives, may we carry the love with us that we build here together. And then may we return once more to keep creating, to keep building, and to keep loving. May it always be so. Blessed be.
Many people in our histories have had a difficult and challenging time being who they are, and some of those are our greatest pioneers. Our third story is about a man named Ethelred Brown. Ethelred was from Jamaica, and when he was young, he went to church often, but as he grew, he realized he didn't really believe what they were saying in the church where he was. He thought he could find another way. And one day when he was at his uncle's house, he saw a booklet from an American Unitarian minister, William Ellery Channing. After reading it and some other books, Ethelred decided he was a Unitarian too. But there were no Unitarian churches in Jamaica, so he knew he needed to find another way. He was an accountant for a while, and he built a family, a wife and children, but he still felt like the love of Unitarianism was what he wanted to work for. So he wrote a letter and addressed it to any Unitarian minister in New York City. And he put it in the mail. And believe it or not, he got it back. He got a letter back, and that letter said that he had to come to the United States and go to school to become a Unitarian minister. Ethelred had a lot of big love to give, but not much money, and that was a big plan. And he had never left Jamaica. But his big love helped him find a way. He asked for help with the money from other people. He got on a boat to go to the United States. Once he got here, they told him he didn't have the right papers, and they sent him back. Sometimes that happens to people. But he kept going and found a way to get back. And finally, 3 years later, after his decision to go, he finally got to school. He spent 2 years there learning to be a Unitarian minister, and he was ordained in 1912. He was the first Jamaican to go to that school, and he was also the very first black man to become a Unitarian minister. The teachers at the minister's school told Ethelred he couldn't be at a church with white people. They would want a white minister. Because he was black, he had to be a minister at a church with black people. Except there weren't any Unitarian churches with black people. So the Unitarian teachers didn't think he was going to get to be a minister after all, but guess what? That did not stop Ethelred. He found a way. He went back to his family in Jamaica, and he started a Unitarian church there. It wasn't easy because they didn't have many people or much money at first, and he didn't get much help from other Unitarians, but he used the power of his big love to make his dream of being a Unitarian minister come true. And after 8 years there, he decided to start another church, this time in the United States. He and his family moved to New York City, and he started the Harlem Community Church in 1920. That church lasted until 1956, and Ethelred was its minister the whole time. Ethelred Brown always found a way to do what he believed in, and so should we. Ethelred Brown always found a way to share the love and the message of Unitarianism with others. And now for us, we're going to take a moment for a different way to share the energy of love with one another, because sometimes talking about it isn't enough, and sometimes we want to move and feel about it. So that's what we'll do now, a body and heart movement. Rise in body or spirit and join me as you are willing and able. Raise your arms above your head and look up at the ceiling. As you do this, know that you can reach out to others and give love, and people can reach out to you and give love, even when it's people you don't know. Now reach your hands out beside you, toward the person next to you, with your hands up. But don't touch hands. Leave some space in between. Know and feel that there is energy that flows between us all, even when we are not touching. We are connected by the atoms and molecules that we share. Now pull your arms around the front of your body and wrap them around yourself in embrace. Know that all the love you share will come back to you. This is agape love, right here, right now. Take a deep breath. Be seated. Pull your hands to your heart. And know the love we create here will multiply when we take it out in the world. Please remain seated and sing with us. There is more love somewhere. The stories you have heard today are only 3 of many stories about Unitarians, Universalists, and those who have used the power of agape love to make a difference in the world. I lost my place. As UUs, we can create new stories, and we can add to others, and we can create that big love. See, the thing about agape love, the kind bigger than ourselves, is that it does have great power. It's like a special kind of magic that we all have. And the trick is just to share it with others when we are living our lives. We can help a stranger, show up for what is right, give of our time and treasure, and this kind of love is not only big, but part of the magic is that it grows as it goes. When we share our big love, more big love is created. At the close of the service today, we hope on your way out you will pick up one of these messages of love that we have given to one another, that you will feel the energy and the love created, and the messages will speak to your heart. If you are on live stream and you have a piece of paper and you've written a message, we just ask that you give it somewhere where you go. A library shelf, a grocery aisle, anywhere you can think of that someone might find your message of love and receive it. Today, there are many places and ways that you don't feel like you have the power of big love, but I promise you do. And if there's one thing the world needs now, it's love. Sweet love. It's also more big love. It's helpers and speaker-outers. It's people like Thomas Potter who believe. It's groups like the Iowa Sisterhood who come together to build something great. It's steadfast people like Ethelred Brown who, even when it's hard, keep finding a way. I'd like to close with these words from a religious educator and minister friend of mine, the Reverend Dana Edwards. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my faith. My faith that our collective love united can drown out all the evils of empire and hate and greed. Together we create a love energy more powerful than any force of oppression. Because when 2 or more people are gathered side by side, arm in arm, shoulder to shoulder, the force of love ignites liberation. Revolutionary love calls us to know ourselves deeply, to see God in the stranger, find beauty in the imperfect. Revolutionary love calls us to find the divine in dirt, the holy in the heartache, and the sacred in the scars. Revolutionary love calls us out and then back in. It calls us to do better, to be better. Revolutionary love calls us to heal and hold each other. At this time, I invite you to all rise and embody your spirit and sing with me, answering the call of love. We will sing the words on the screen because the hymn, although it is number 1014 in the Teal hymnal, did itself find a bigger way to love when the words were changed to be less ableist and more inclusive. Those changed words will be on the screen. May we sing it with all the big love we can muster.
Please join me in extinguishing our flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now you may be seated.